What's up, everybody? Welcome to Power 3 Raw TV. Tonight we're going to talk about something that has been something that I've been researching for quite a while, and that is the effects on stims. And we're going to focus specifically on caffeine, because caffeine is, of course, included in all of these fat burners, even multiple types of caffeine. It's included in all of these pre-workouts in large amounts. So when I say large amounts, anything above a 200 milligram dose is considered a large amount technically by clinical standards, right? By dosing standards from studies that have been done. Okay, so anything that's 300 milligrams or above, which many of these pre-workouts have the caffeine alone on top of other stims in them that cause hormonal reactions. We're going to talk about different things right now. A couple things about hormones and some stuff about metabolism. I think it's going to be pretty eye-opening that I don't think you'll see other companies talking about this. I don't think you'll see other individuals talking about this because they don't really give a shit. They're only concerned with getting their fix of whatever stim they want for the day to try to just, really crank it out for the day and be hardcore with everything they do and be more productive and shit, not even caring what it does to their body. So the first thing I want to talk about is the caffeine consumption and cortisol levels. Now, epinephrine and cortisol. So when you consume caffeine, it has a release of serotonin, dopamine. You feel good on it. It actually gives you a better feeling. But there's also a dosage-dependent rise, okay, which means the more caffeine you take, the more your cortisol rises. And they've done plenty of studies now. If you guys want me to link the studies, here's the deal. There's too many of them to link. There's tons and tons and tons of these things online. And you may have to actually have somebody interpret them for you because you read this shit and you're like, what the fuck? So I had to actually have some people actually interpret these things for me and say, here's the deal. This is what they're saying that happened. Some of it I understood and, some of it is plain as day, but some of it you're like, what the fuck? Because I wanted to say, see really what was going on and why no one's really talked about this. Everybody and their brother has a high stim fucking fat burner, a high stim pre-workout, but not one single person out there or a company or anyone is talking about what these things do to your body. Not necessarily just health. Because let's face facts, many of you watching this don't fucking care about your health. You don't give a shit. If you died fucking a week from now, well, you'd probably care, but you're only concerned about fucking getting shredded or getting big or your next fucking workout, hitting your next PR. You don't give a fuck. So it's my job as being the lone fucking wolf over here that says the shit that nobody else wants to hear to tell you this is what's going on with your body. Here's the information. If you don't deem it important, fuck it, toss it aside. But some of you out there are going to read this shit or see this video, look into it and be like, I don't want any part of this shit anymore. So even going back to the caffeine and your cortisol levels, cortisol absolutely stops muscle growth. It's one of those things that will inhibit muscle growth when you have too much cortisol. And your cortisol is actually raised even from one dose of caffeine in the morning for much of the day. And it is absolutely dosage dependent, meaning the more caffeine you take, the higher your cortisol levels go. And it's not just while the caffeine's in your system. It's after the caffeine's out of your system. And while you're exercising, the cortisol goes even higher. And it stays even higher than it normally would even at rest afterwards. So a lot of people like to talk about like cortisol this, cortisol that, and they think they know what the fuck they're talking about, and they don't even realize this is one of the reasons why so many of these guys, I want to say girls too, are out there training their asses off, not getting any results. They take these high stim fat pre-workouts, sorry, not the fat burners. People take those too, but the high stim pre-workouts all the time. Just that high stim pre-workout alone is going to hold you back. Now, on top of it, the studies also went on to say that the longer you took the caffeine, you didn't have that high of the cortisol. They were like, oh, we solved it. As long as you're not taking, let's say you take 200 milligrams, you continue taking it for a month, well, your cortisol levels don't go up that high anymore. They kind of level off and they only go up with that amount of caffeine. They kind of come down a little bit. The problem is the 200 milligrams of caffeine after a couple weeks is not having the same effect. So now you raise it to 300 or 400 or 600, whatever the fuck it is. The cortisol now spikes up higher with that. So it's like as the caffeine goes up and you build a tolerance, you increase the caffeine, your cortisol goes up with it. And again, these are not me saying that. I give a fuck less what you guys do. You do whatever the fuck you want to do. But the bottom line is this is real. Higher cortisol levels like that, especially because you guys, let's face facts, many of you are not just taking a stim pre-workout. A lot of you guys are slugging down these fucking energy drinks all day long. And you know what? I was one of those people. You're slugging down caffeine all day long, jacking your cortisol levels through the fucking roof, and then trying to calculate your macros so that you're only 300 above maintenance so you don't get any fatter. Well, you're not even going to gain a fucking ounce. You're not going to gain shit. Like you may be able to gain strength in the gym because of your central nervous system being stimulated. You're able to move the weight, but it's not doing what you want. Or if it is, it's slow as fuck. And this is why I keep pointing out to you guys, you should be getting faster results. What the fuck is going on with this shit? It doesn't make any sense. Now, another big thing, and I'm going to read this one right off here because this one is like, it really does talk a lot. And I didn't understand this. To be honest with you, I really didn't know about this until I started delving into it. And it was even a shock to me. But it also explains why there's a lot of type 2 diabetes in our fucking country nowadays because of people with all the energy drinks and the fucking coffee. People are drinking coffees now that have 600 to 800 milligrams of caffeine in them because they get a extra venti trenti, whatever the fuck it is, with 6 shots of espresso in it. That's me. I was getting the extra large fucking cold brew from Starbucks, throwing 6 shots of espresso in that fucker and drinking that. Like, it's no wonder why I had high anxiety, which I have anxiety to begin with, and had trouble sleeping for the last fucking 20 years. Like, this is one of the causes of it. It's one of the major causes of it. So let's get into that. So chronic caffeine consumption increases insulin resistance, a situation where the body cannot effectively deliver glucose into the cells of the body. In this situation, insulin, which helps transport glucose into the cells, cannot do its job well because the body's cells are less receptive. This typically occurs in a diet high in refined sugars and starches. So you may be the type of person that's eating really clean or whatever, but here's the thing. If you're one of those people that's IFM and you don't give a shit, you're eating tons of fucking sugars and shit thinking it's okay, you're getting a 1-2 fucking whammy from the caffeine and the sugars you're taking in. Remember, I keep preaching hormonal manipulation through food, and you guys tell me I'm fucking nuts. And then the fucking stupidest thing in the world happens. Your insulin goes up when you eat a carbohydrate. That is a fucking hormonal response to food. This happens whether you believe it or not. Just because you don't believe it doesn't mean it's not real. But if you're eating tons of sugar and adding the caffeine, the fucking energy drinks and pre-workouts that are loaded with caffeine and other stims, what the fuck you think is going to happen in a few years? Don't get me wrong, there are people that are 5 years deep on some of this shit like this, and it's getting worse now with all the new energy drinks and shit, and they're jacking up more caffeine, putting more stims. Watch what's going to happen. And right now you guys are just not gaining muscle and getting good results. But watch what happens. Anyways, so it says the body must release ever large amounts of insulin to do the job when you have the sugars and the starches that are consumed in large amounts. Like the parents turning out their screaming toddler, the body becomes less and less sensitive to insulin's effects, which means more circulating glucose, which means more insulin release, and so on. It's a vicious cycle, and unfortunately, it's a cycle that currently occurs in the majority of North Americans. Combine the standard Western diet in high refined carbohydrates with stress and high caffeine intake, and you have a potential recipe for disaster. Now, combined with stress and high caffeine intake, here's the thing. Increased caffeine in general, causes a stress-like effect on the body. So even if you weren't stressed out and you consume the caffeine, you now have the same thing hormonally happening to your body as when you're just stressed out about a job or getting married or losing your house or whatever the fuck's going on. So you put your state in a perpetual state of stress all the time. Now, what happens when real stress happens at the same time with the caffeine and the refined sugars? It's a fucking nightmare. I can't believe right now that no one has actually talked about this shit because they don't care. There's all these companies and people and fucking gurus or whatever that say they fucking want to help people. Why aren't you talking about this shit? Because there's people having problems right now and they're going to be having even fucking worse problems and they're not even going to think it's my caffeine consumption. Well, eventually when you go to the doctor, the first thing they fucking tell you when this shit happens, how much caffeine, when they see your blood pressure through the fucking roof and they're like, how much caffeine are you taking in? Well, I take this. A lot of people lie to the doctors, but if you tell them the truth, they're going to tell you to cut back. You don't want to hear that because you got to get your workouts in. You got to get your new PR and your push-pull legs fucking routine, and because you just have to, and you can't stop eating your fucking gummy bears, right? Because why? Because they're just fucking carbohydrates that are broken down into glucose, like the same thing as everything else. But you don't realize all this shit is going on in your fucking body, and you have no idea that it's going on. Because why? Because nobody fucking told you, and you don't know enough to look because you may be new at this shit, or you may just want to be like, if I don't think about it, it's not real type shit. Doesn't mean it's not happening, right? So we'll keep going with this. It says that insulin stimulates the release of interleukin-6, which is a cell signaling molecule. Interleukin-6 is chronically elevated in the case from high insulin levels, which happens with caffeine, as well as the high sugars and shit, will lead to the Th2 dominance and potential hypersensitivity from an overzealous antibody response. This can result in acquired sensitivities to foods and chemicals, which means you will have problems later on or very soon if you're not now. Interleukin-6 also stimulates the release of cortisol, which is a glucocorticoid hormone increases the body's glucose level. This leads to an increase in demand for insulin, which is problematic because the insulin resistance that has started the cascade in the first place. So more glucose means more insulin, need to dispose of it. More insulin means cells tune out, which means even more insulin dumped into the bloodstream, especially if people continue to eat this way and take the caffeine together. More insulin means insulin resistance, possibly aggravated by the high caffeine consumption as well. More insulin means more interleukin-6 and more inflammation and hypersensitivity. More interleukin-6 means more cortisol, which means more glucose. And here we are back at the beginning of a very nasty cycle. So basically, if you're one of those people out there loading up on caffeine, and I mean, let's take the diet rate out of it, because we're not even talking about that. I wanted to put it in there because I want you guys to understand that synergy, right? Synergy is not always a good thing. Sometimes you combine things, you get a bad synergy, like sugars and caffeine in high amounts throughout the day, you get a bad synergy, right? So now, everybody out there consuming these caffeine drinks, this is not even true. There hasn't even been a study ever, anywhere, on these other companies' products that are stacking other fucking high stim products. Like, imagine the Yohimbe, like a massive dose of Yohimbe with the caffeine, which is in many of these fucking fat burners and pre-workouts, on top of this to see what kind of things happen. It doesn't cut it out. It makes it worse. The stress levels go up even further. The blood pressure goes up even further. Matter of fact, the Yohimbe, I read more than 3 places I've read before, that as it increases your pump and blood flow, it can actually increase the thickness of your blood. So now you have thickening of your fucking blood, which you don't want under any circumstance. I don't give a fuck who you are. If you want a better pump, you want thinner blood, not thicker blood. So there's so many things going in these products working against you, and the only thing you know is you feel jacked up out of your fucking mind like you're on meth. And that goes in the gym and makes you crazy and hardcore, and you think you're hardcore. You're not hardcore, you're a fucking drone robot created by these fucking companies that now have you hooked on these fucking pre-workouts that you can't even go to the gym and train without them. You can't even do a single fucking workout without them, because when you go, you feel tired. You feel the dopamine's not there, making you feel good in your brain. You don't have the central nervous system stimulation that makes you all fucking wired, like you're shaking and shit. You don't have what you perceive is going to give you a good workout before you get there. It's very routine based. It's very ritual based. Like, you take your pre-workout an hour before. You start to get the oh shits when you drive to the gym. You go, oh shit, it's kicking in. You get to the gym, you're a little bit shaky. Whew, you do your couple warm-ups, then you have a ritual. This takes away from your ritual. Rather than start a new ritual and say, I'm going to fucking do this without the caffeine because I don't want to be stuck on something like fucking locked around my neck that controls me, you go, well, fuck, I got to go to the store and buy another can. I can't be without it because it works so well. Why do you think you can't be without it? Because you're fucking addicted to it. You're addicted to the caffeine. You're addicted to the dopamine rush. You're addicted to everything that comes with it. But you don't even understand the damage that it's fucking doing to your body. And the fact that it's holding you back from getting gains. I'm so tired of seeing all these hashtag gains, gaining season, improvement season, get huge, get swole. Like, none of you motherfuckers have ever been big a day in your entire fucking life. You're listening to people that work for these companies that sell you the fucking products. And guess what? 99% of those motherfuckers that got swole as shit never took a fucking stimulant before their workout. Ever. In their entire fucking life. Half these fucking pros out there, like, they never even fucking took anything. Like, they didn't have anything like that when they looked their fucking best. It blows my fucking mind how so many people can go out there and take advantage of so many people when all this information is out there. Like, I literally held off weeks, over a month on putting this information out because I wanted to comb through as much of this as I could to make sure that there wasn't anything in here that would be like, Jerry, see, you're wrong. I wanted to go through every study I could find, talk to all the people that I could, go through everything that I could about shit I already knew about. And then the fucking insulin resistance thing was something new that I didn't even know about. I found that looking for the stuff about the cortisol. And I stepped back and I was like, holy fucking shit. Like, I didn't even understand that shit. But I can tell you this much. I feel 1 million times fucking better right now being on 0 caffeine for the last 10 weeks than I ever have in my entire life at 43 years old. Sustainable energy all day long, not having ups and downs. I'm able to sleep like a fucking rock. No issues, no highs, no lows. Anxiety is down to a minimum compared to where I was, before I cut the caffeine out. So guys, there is a lot to this, and many of you have come up to me in the gym, emailed me, messaged me, have people face to face in the gym with me say, I took your challenge to come off the Stim pre-workouts and I can't do it. I didn't even get 3 days into it. I had to go back on. I think there's something to this. When someone tells you that to your face, who you've seen in the gym for like 2 years, and you've never talked to the person, they've never talked to you, and they've been watching your shit, but they finally feel compelled to come up to you and say, this is the deal, I'm fucking addicted to something. How do you think I should come off of this shit? Then I'm like, fuck, that's all worth it right there. I don't give a fuck. If it was just that one person that said something to me that I helped, I don't give a fuck. But this is for you guys. BioStrengthTraining@gmail.com. Leave comments down below, but don't fight. www.biostrength.com is a blog. It's the caffeine's got to go bicep, and we are out.